This is the Xiaomi 12T Pro. One of the biggest features about this device is going to be that Samsung ISOCELL HP1 sensor on the back, that 200 megapixel camera. Yes, 200 megapixels on the 12T Pro from Xiaomi, and of course, powered by the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1. This is TK. Let's go ahead and talk about all of the new features of the brand new Xiaomi 12T Pro. Like and subscribe and make sure you hit that bell icon so that you're always notified to whenever we have new videos on the channel. So this is everything that comes in the box. We get the phone itself, of course. We have the 120 watt charger that's powered by USB-A port. Of course, using USB-A to USB-C cable here, nice colored cable as well to be able to charge up our device. And again, you can go from 0 to 100% in roughly about 19 minutes. Also included is a clear case in the box, and of course this is the entire package. There's a few colors available. I think 3 colors on the 12T Pro as well as the 12T. So the first thing we're going to talk about is obviously the design. This is something iconic to Xiaomi at this point. So this is the 12T Pro. There is a 12T. One thing to mention though, aesthetically though, they don't really look that different. Their colors are very similar, and one of the biggest things that you'll notice about the difference if you're looking at them at the back, it'll either say 108 megapixel, which is the 12T, or 200 megapixels for the 12T Pro. This one is powered by the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1. That's also a big difference as opposed to the MediaTek Dimensity 8100 Ultra that's on the 12T. So just a few differences there, but otherwise when you're looking at them, you're looking very much at the same thing. We have a volume rocker, a power button on the right side, and of course we have the IR blaster that we typically have here on Xiaomi devices, microphone, one of the microphone speakers here that is sitting on the right side, of course married to the bottom one for stereo speakers. We have a SIM tray here supporting 5G, and of course we do have 5G here in the US. I'll share that with you guys in a second. USB-C, and on the left side pretty much a clear slate. The thing that you'll probably first and foremost notice is that the display is flat. That's something that a lot of people are going to definitely be enjoying. And one of the other things that we like about this is the fact that this is a beautiful AMOLED panel. We're running MIUI 13, so we have obviously video wallpapers. And we also have video home screen wallpapers, which is just another epic wall screen. So obviously, if you know what this is, you can appreciate the excitement that I have in my voice right now. So very nice. 6.67-inch display here. This is an AMOLED display, 120 hertz refresh rate with 480 touch sampling and up to 900 nits of brightness on this. And it is adaptive refresh rate as well as adaptive HDR. Meaning it'll go from 30, 60, 90 to 120 as far as the refresh rate and adjust it. Or you can force it to be at 100%, basically either 60, 60, 90 or 120. Now, as far as the processor, as I said, 8 Plus Gen 1, the system here that we have is running MIUI 13. So if let's go ahead and go into the settings tab, we'll go ahead and go to settings, about phone. Again, as I mentioned, it's MIUI 13.0.1 on top of Android 12, not Android 13. Android security patch update up to July 1st. And the model that I have here has, let's go ahead and go in here. Mine has 8 gigs of RAM with plus 3 gigabytes of internal storage, but you're able to basically get 3 different configurations. There's an 8128, an 8256, which is the one that I have, and a 12256. And I will say this now at this point of the video is my recommendation is for you to pick up the 256 model, either the 8 or the 12 gigabytes of RAM. Now the RAM is going to be LPDDR5 and the storage is going to be UFS 3.1, so pretty fast as far as overall performance. 5,000 milliampere battery supported by the 120 watt charger that we looked at just a second ago, gives us the ability of charging it in about 19 minutes or so, and everything's included in the box. But the biggest difference, again, this is running basically for now, you notice I'm using about 66, almost 67 gigabytes out of the 256. And the model number is the 12T Pro. This is the global edition, and it does, of course, support Google Play services on this. Everything is preloaded in here, and we'll talk about some of the applications that I have in here. I did run Geekbench. Let's go ahead and start talking. Since we're talking specifications, we'll see how the numbers on the Geekbench score goes up. And single score 1304, 4113 for the multi-score. So again, comparable to what we see with the 8 Plus Gen 1. But I also want to talk to you guys about the 5G connectivity, because I am actually able to get full sub-6 5G on T-Mobile in the US. And when I say full, I truly mean full. Look at those numbers that we have in here. 534 down, 124 up, 699 down, 154 up, and 684 and 110 up. I mean, we're talking absolutely crazy numbers in here, and that's one of the biggest benefits here that we're getting with the 12T Pro. So very nice, very cool, and of course, overall, very fast. So fast RAM, fast storage, fast display, Flat display also, which a lot of people prefer, especially for gaming. Stereo speakers that we have in here, we're definitely going to get a chance to listen to them. All the customizations that you typically see here. So one thing I would probably say is this. If you swipe down from the right, you get the new notification, well, the toggles in here. Of course, you have your smart devices. That was something new also, that they added that straight right under it. So now it no longer expands all the way. I can swipe up to the right. We have all the different options. We have a brand new reading mode in here also that helps us reduce the blue light when we're trying to use the device for an extended amount of time when you're reading. Floating window, vibration, Dolby Atmos, obviously, since we have that. Harman Kardon tuned speakers, but we have Dolby Atmos EQ built into this. Casting, nearby sharing, location, all the different services that you can expect. Of course, Google Pay is supported in here. It does have actually NFC. If I swipe down from the left side, you'll notice right now it's downloading the Genshin Impact library, but I can also swipe between down here on the left, swipe to the right, or swipe to the left, and I can switch between the two. Swiping up from the bottom takes us directly into the App Store. It's very smooth, as you can see. Left side, we have the Google Feed. This is definitely customized based on the account that you have. You can download, install your applications, and customize the experience the way you want it. Again, for the most part, everything pretty much standard here. Display settings, as I mentioned, you're able to go to dark mode, reading mode, color calibration, wallpaper, themes, of course, passwords, security, battery information, all of that. 5,000 milliampere here. Under special features, we have front-facing camera assistant. You're able to go in there and customize different options in here. So you can actually add different options in there for filling light. Floating window, second space, if you want to run obviously a secondary space in here for security purposes. Light mode and heart rate, which is something that's new. So if I go ahead and say start here and I'll say allow, I can actually use the fingerprint sensor that's present here to be able to read my heart rate. Now this is something new that I've seen on Xiaomi devices recently, so this is something new, and if you definitely appreciate it if you'd like to see it. It's showing that I am excited a little bit. As you can imagine, we're talking about a very nice phone that I really like at this point. So very nice, very simple. It is sitting here under the heart rate, and you need to turn it on under basically the special features. Account information, you can log into your Mi account as well as your Google account and customize the rest of the experience. Gestures, all you can imagine, obviously. Weather application looks really nice. You can customize it and download anything that you'd like to customize on this system. Obviously, I have Netflix installed in here. Google Suite's already pre-built in here. One thing I will probably say is, obviously, you need to download games, but Genshin Impact was actually preloaded on this phone, so they wanted us to actually check it out. So I have Genshin Impact, Call of Duty Mobile, and of course, PUBG Mobile and Undead Horde, because I want to actually be able to see and test and see how the system runs. But first and foremost, we need to talk about cameras, because literally the 90% of this, or the star of the show, is the camera, that main sensor in the back. Now, again, this is the ISOCELL, Samsung ISOCELL HP1 sensor that we have in here. It is a 200 megapixel camera sensor, but it is pixel binned down to 12 megapixel out of the standard photo mode that we have in here. There is an option in here to go under more, to go to HD, Ultra HD. Now, this gives us the ability of using the pixel bin, either the full 200 megapixels, or we can actually use the 50 megapixel binning down. So it basically bins down to 50 megapixels, so that'll be the standard one. If you want to be able to use the 200, that's going to be the shot. But one thing I will say though, just be aware of the fact, a 200 megapixel image out of this phone is roughly 72 megabytes. 72, not 16, not 8, not any, I mean, nothing like the regular size that one we normally see. So this is going to take a lot of space if you want to be able to shoot. So this is going to work obviously for canvas, portrait, imagery, anything that you want to be able to print out of. This is definitely going to be the best solution, although there's an argument to be said that the 50 megapixel will also do the same. We have obviously document mode, pro mode, as you can imagine, document, video. Now video is pretty nice. We have the ability of recording 8K 24 frames per second, 4K 60 frames per second, as well as 4K 30, and that's going to be basically the best resolution, 8K 24. The front-facing camera is still capped to 1080p 60. That's going to be the best resolution, although it is a 20 megapixel camera sensor. So on the back, the primary sensor is the 200 ISOCELL. We have an 8 megapixel ultra wide, and then we have a 2 megapixel macro lens. So for up close kind of imagery. So we don't have a telephoto lens, and the 2x is purely a digital crop, not basically any kind of mechanism there. And the 0.6 will take us directly into the ultra wide. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that the ultra wide maximum resolution is going to be 1080p 30 frames per second because it is an 8 megapixel camera. So again, I feel like the star of the show is going to be the main sensor on the back, and that's going to be the bread and butter of everything that we're able to do here. And of course, One thing I will mention is, although I'm starting this recording here out of my office in Los Angeles, I'm actually going to be at the event. So the images and the videos I'm going to share with you guys are going to be from my trip going over to Germany, and of course sharing with you guys some of those pictures from there. And there'll be other content that I'll be posting directly from my images or from the event there. So make sure to check out all the social information here, so you'll be able to actually keep posted with everything that we have. Normally I'm doing this video in my backyard where I'm doing the audio and video test, showing you guys how does the audio and video look like from the front-facing camera that can shoot 1080p 60 frames per second on this phone. But I'm actually right now just getting to the hotel here in Munich. The event's going to be here in a couple of hours. So this is going to be my example or my sample of the audio and video from the brand new 12T Pro from Xiaomi. We'll talk a little bit more about that 200 megapixel camera when we switch over to the main sensor on the back. Now we're shooting 4K out of that main sensor on the back, and the biggest difference here obviously is that we can go all the way up to 8K 24 frames per second. The 200 megapixel camera sensor, or the 200 megapixel pictures, or something when you're using at that level, obviously means if there's the easy way to explain it, essentially if you're looking at a 720p, 1080p, or even a 4K image, you have more data, way more data to be able to zoom in and punch in. So this is obviously going to work great when you're taking pictures for like landscape or areas where you don't have a way of actually using a telephoto lens to get very close. The 200 megapixel camera will definitely help you. Keep in mind though, when you're using it at that resolution, your files are going to be massive, somewhere between 40 to 70 megabytes per picture. So definitely not a shareable image, but definitely something that you could use to edit. Also, this is a quick sample of the main sensor on the back here, the 200 megapixel camera sensor on the 12T Pro shooting in 4K. As you saw there, the audio and the videos sound pretty good, and we're going to give you guys some more example, obviously, in a little bit later on in the video, of images obviously taken outdoors and videos and so on, utilizing not only just the standard focal length, but also the ability of using the 200 megapixel images. And I want to share with you guys some of those big, really good images that we can definitely appreciate when we're obviously shooting content that is a little bit bigger than just something here around the office. As far as audio, we're going to be playing our favorite song, Alex Scrindo Jumbo by NCS Release. I'm going to give it 100%. We have stereo speakers here on the top and bottom. Let's go ahead and start the song.
Jack it up.
Definitely the sound actually pretty full. It sounds really nice. You can definitely feel a little bit of that bass coming up out of them. They're not going to sound the loudest on the market, but they definitely sound pretty good as far as content consumption. And the fact that they're actually positioned here on the bottom right, bottom left, when you're holding your phone like this, they echo, or they basically kind of almost bounce off the palms to give us that nice full sound. So if we go ahead and play the song again. And that's one of the main acoustics things that you want to make sure. So if you're holding the phone, make sure you don't squeeze on it this side, otherwise you're going to be blocking the speakers. Just open it up a little bit, hold it like this, or even set it down, and you're definitely going to enjoy the audio. Now, the next thing obviously we're going to talk about is capabilities as far as gaming. The main system that we have here in Xiaomi devices that give us the ability of customizing our experience when it comes to gaming. So I have those games that I mentioned to you guys installed before, so let's go ahead and look at the Undead Horde. You're able to basically preset the quality of the gaming experience out of the box so that you can actually just customize it for additional options. So out of the box, you can customize it to be high quality, balanced, power saving, and so on. And then once you're done, you can just basically click on it again. Well, go ahead and bring it down. You could start the game, and of course, you could change different games and customize it based on the device that you want. There's a little bit of indicator here as far as the percentage of the battery, the CPU, and the GPU load that we have currently on the system. We're not playing anything, so obviously the loads are not going to be 100%. But one thing I will say though, let's go ahead and start the game. We can see here the gaming turbo gives us the ability of customizing. We have obviously the ability of launching different applications here in windowed mode, voice changer, timer. We have do not disturb, screenshot, record for video recording. Of course, the setting options that we have in here, turn off screen if you want to do that, casting, Wi-Fi, basically brightness, you can configure that as well, and of course on-screen configuration. Clear out the background as far as clear memory as well, and one of the other options is the ability of boosting the actual game. It allows us to actually boost the performance on here. So typically running at about 30 frames per second, and it boosts it up and runs at about 60 frames per second in the game. You do need to turn this on though. Unfortunately, it does not turn on automatically. Once you have that there, you can go in there and customize the experience. And we'll give it a second to finish. When we get into the settings here for PUBG Mobile, because I'm pretty sure you guys want to know, the best resolution we're able to get here is obviously Ultra HD. I'm able to go all the way to Ultra as far as the frame rate, but if I do want to drop it, let's say to balance or to HD, obviously we're able to go a little bit higher with Extreme, which gives us better frame rate. Although for me, I want to get the quality as well as the gameplay. So I go always with Ultra, Ultra HD, and Ultra, and of course colorful to give us that experience overall very nicely. So let's go ahead and jump in for a quick sample or gaming sample on the brand new 12T Pro.
Contact with enemy! Enemy down! Need backup! Sniper!
Hunter killer drone on
Need
standby.
backup! Reloading! Cover me! Join the horde. I have untapped potential. Join the horde. Come attack.
Now, I'm pretty sure the biggest thing that we're really focusing on this device is how do the cameras work? Or primarily, how does the 200 megapixel camera function and produce content on this phone? I'll start off by saying that this is a Xiaomi device, so the color science, that if you're used to them or you've used them in the past, you're not going to be disappointed. The color vibrance and the production of color and images out of this device are going to be stunning. There's literally very few images that I took out of this, and it was primarily my fault for not doing a better composition on them, that it didn't come out as good. But the overall performance on this, even in low light or even in good lighting, was absolutely fantastic. And most of the time, I ended up trying to challenge it a little bit more with low light type of photography. As you're looking at some of those images right now, when I was here with my family here over the weekend, spending it in going out, as well as also on the trip. So that's the other thing I wanted to do for you guys in this, is we started the video here in the studio, but I'm actually going to be editing the video as I'm traveling over to Germany for the launch event of this brand new phone. So overall, as far as cameras, there really isn't that much you can actually say about this device that will make it sound like it's a bad experience. I will say though that the ultra wide and the macro obviously don't augment and don't live up to the same standard as the 200, but I feel like the combination, or at least the experience that Xiaomi's putting into this device, is to really mostly focus on that 200 megapixel camera. It's going to perform the best, it's going to give you the best resolution, and in my opinion, it should be the camera that you live and basically use all the time. The front-facing camera is actually pretty decent. The audio experience is also nice. We do have basically tracking and basically face tracking, as well as subject tracking as and the main camera in the back. We're able to shoot 200 megapixel full frame of that actual, like basically a full readout from that sensor. But I will say that again, at about 70 megabytes plus per file, I wouldn't necessarily say that that's going to be the best solution. Your main camera is going to be basically providing you a pixel binning experience down to about 12 megapixel camera images, which is typical to what we see from most devices on the market, but it's basically binning down from a much higher resolution camera, as opposed to, let's say, going from a 64 down to a 12. So this is where the reference information is going to come. You're also able to shoot 50 megapixel cameras, since it's technically 200. They're basically pixel binning down 4:1. It does still actually give you a very good experience overall. The ISOCELL HP1 camera is really nice. Obviously, I want to see some more optimizations done from Xiaomi, and maybe a few additional modes added in there to get us that experience to even get improved more. I would have loved to see 4K in the front-facing camera with that 20 megapixel sensor, but again, 1080p 60 is the max. So overall, the balanced experience that we have here is focused primarily on the main sensor, and you're not going to be disappointed there. Charging is really crazy fast. 120 watts charging with the charger in the box is still crazy at the end of this year. The 8 Plus Gen 1 definitely provides us the benefit of the TSMC binning here that we have as far as the processor. So it runs, we're not basically pushing high temperatures. It still gets a little bit warm, but not what we saw from the 8 Gen 1 earlier in the beginning of the year with the 12 Pro. Now, the way I'm looking at this device is, obviously this is the T series at the end of the year. I don't think this is necessarily trying to outshine the Pro, but it is going to feature some new technologies from Xiaomi in the line for these devices. Now, there are other devices that Xiaomi produces and obviously sells in different markets, so this is not going to be the only thing. The 12T that's coming out is technically somewhat of a little brethren with a lot of similarities. I'm talking similar display, similar basically structure, battery, charging. It is featuring a different processor with a more of a MediaTek Dimensity 8100 Ultra. Now that's going to be more of that experience, or more, I would say, upper mid-range experience, and 108 megapixel camera sensor, and it is also still a Samsung ISOCELL camera sensor on there. It's just not the 200 megapixel camera sensor. So I want to say thank you very much to Xiaomi for allowing me to check out the 12T Pro and of course share with you guys my thoughts as far as the main features of this device and what it brings to the table. I was and I am still very surprised of how well it supports 5G in my market, because for me, this is out of the, like seriously, of all the phones I've actually checked out from Xiaomi, this is the only one that runs the full gamut of the sub 6 millimeter, not millimeter wave, but the sub 6 5G that we get here with T-Mobile. Again, almost 700 megabits down, that's crazy, and of course, crazy upload speeds. We've probably seen me wearing this watch this entire video, so I just want to say that I am working on a video for you guys. This is the Smart Band 7 Pro from Xiaomi. There's going to be a full video coming up on this. I've been pairing it directly with this, so I need a little bit more time to get the video together. Smart bands need more time for data, so you can see how the trends, the information, and so on. But it has been working great for the last week for me, and of course, the Xiaomi, this 12T Pro has been working amazingly nice. And again, I'm going to be taking a lot more pictures. Check out my socials to get more information, and let me know any other questions that you may have regarding the 12T Pro. I'll see you in the next video.